Okay, we have up next. At the beginning, we talked about this dual theme, celebrating the 90th anniversary of the first China Clipper flight, but we're also celebrating an incredible legacy, and that's the legacy of World Wings International. And tonight, I'm honored to welcome Nancy McAllister, President of World Wings International. And just to give you a little background, since 1958, World Wings has been making a difference around the globe. Founded by Pan Am stewardesses who were required to resign when they were married, there might be a few of you here too, winsome. The organization gave them a way to remain connected to Pan Am and to carry forward its tradition of global humanitarian service. In their 66 years, World Wings members have raised and donated millions to help the less fortunate, the ill, the victims of war, and those devastated by natural disasters. They are a shining example of what women on a mission can accomplish. Nancy is herself a proud Pan Am legacy. Her father, Captain William Clee Foth, close, flew for Pan Am for 32 years. Nancy joined Pan Am as a flight attendant in 1972, later moving into sales, and after Pan Am, went on to a successful career with IBM. That experience prepared her well for her leadership role as president of World Wings International. Under Nancy's tenure, the organization has embraced innovation, launching an affiliate membership program for family and friends, introducing lifetime membership, and creating a special scarf for lifetime members designed by Pam Askew, who's here tonight as well. In 2017, at the World Wings Convention in Amsterdam, Nancy recognized it was time to prepare for the future. With a dedicated board, she began thoughtful planning for the organization's eventual sunset and integration with what now is the Pan Am Museum Foundation, ensuring that World Wings' spirit and legacy will live on. Before we celebrate that integration tonight, let us pause to recognize the extraordinary accomplishments of World Wings International. Please join me in welcoming Nancy McAllister, President of World Wings.
Let the grass climb the trees, leave a friend home to weave, teach your dreams how to fly.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you to the Pan Am Museum Foundation. It's an honor to be here tonight, having the opportunity to share a touch of the history and impact that World Wings has had. I'll be as quick as I can, I promise. First, I'd like you to take a quick look at the role model we had. Deeds of humanitarian compassion, both large and small, kindnesses extended person to person, lives saved, lives improved, and lives furthered along a prosperous path. That role model was Pan Am. As Pan Am crew members, we witnessed all of these occurrences. Our beloved airline demonstrated the importance of providing aid, offering a hand up, and rendering compassionate care. Pan Am was there to deliver hope to areas adversely impacted by destructive hurricanes, earthquakes, famine, and war. Allied efforts were advanced by Pan Am's capabilities, first in the Pacific, followed by the Atlantic. Allied efforts such as the Casablanca Conference, where Winston Churchill met with FDR, and that was the first Air Force One, and that was from Pan Am. Human beings filled every available spot while evacuations took place from war zones such as Vietnam and Tehran. What was observed by flight crews led to the formation and incorporation of World Wings International. Beginning 66 years ago in 1959, World Wings became an international organization with friendship, philanthropy, promoting Pan Am and preserving the airline's storied legacy. Joining us here this evening are 3 former presidents of World Wings who led us during formative years and our wonderful heydays. First, you will know who this lady is because she's been passing out lays to everyone. Is Joyce Mitsumori. Joyce, would you stand for a moment, please? Thank you. Joyce began flying in the 1960s. She settled in Hawaii and jumped into World Wings with both feet. She served multiple positions on the World Wings board and also 2 terms as president. She made a lot of, is there a clicker? Because I need the next slide. There we go, okay. She made a lot of things happen that weren't happening yet, and you have to think back, this was way before the internet. Remember, we all waited until after 5 or made a phone call on the weekends if you were doing a long distance. So she began printed directories, which many of us still have all of those copies of. She expanded our newsletter, which was just a letter, into a publication called Jet Wings. She did 2 volumes of very popular cookbooks penned by Pan Am stewardesses. She also did charms of 14-karat gold and sterling silver. During her presidency, she chartered 12 new chapters. That's pretty awesome. And increased membership by nearly 600 people. She also started a uniform collection. Well, several of those uniforms are now in the Smithsonian Museum. That was all Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. Another former president joining us here today is Sally Kaplan. And I think you can't see him in that picture, but Jeff Krindler was sitting next to her in that photo. That was in Oslo, I believe, right, Sally? That's what I thought. Sally also began flying in the 60s. She did multiple board terms, and it was very hands-on with our first truly international charity. And that was Gallaudet University for the Deaf, which accepted students from all over the world that were hearing impaired. That is located in DC, which is near where Sally lived. She, during her board term, she opened eligibility, and this was a big deal because you had to have stopped flying in order to be a World Wings member. Well, Sally and her board opened it up to allow current flight attendants, which immediately led to a mushrooming of our membership. She also worked to get government federal grants to match our donations to Gallaudet, and I'm proud to say we still have an endowment fund there that operates today. So, thank you, Sally. Did you stand, Sally? Did you stand? Can you stand? There you go. Thank you. Next, we have Julie Watson, and she was president from 2014 to 2017. Oh, Lillian is not here tonight. Okay. Julie was president from 2014 to 2017. She also began flying in 1970, January, so she just missed the 60s. She was also the holder of a number of board positions. She lived in Florida and now lives in Maine. She's responsible for taking our website into the next level. She was also part of the team that launched the Pan Am Museum. And she attended many CARE events in Washington, D.C. So, would you stand, Julie, please? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, so World Wings started out very grassroots because it was actually started with two women who ran into each other in a department store on Long Island. That was on one coast. On the other coast, there was an effort made in the San Francisco area. They found out about each other a few years later and decided to join together, and World Wings was formed in 1959. I always joke and say that part of the requirement to be hired for Pan Am was that you had to agree to support the local economies. And I know there are many people in this room who bought copper milk cans this high, rugs, and all kinds of things which left very little room for passenger items. But we did support local economies. So World Wings, over our tenure, has had 56 annual meetings and conventions. Our 56th commences tomorrow. We've had 34 land conventions, 12 cruise conventions. We have had 29 chartered chapters that are no longer around, such as Omaha. Pan Am did not fly there. The Rio Grande Valley, San Juan, and so forth. We still have 26 chapters. So that's 55 total, which is a lot. Our archives are at the Richter Library, which is part of the University of Miami. We have had instant and mass communications through email, and that has really changed. I know all of you in business can say nobody can wait for 5 minutes anymore, can they? You know, it used to all be done by mail, and as I said, a phone call, they were sparse when you had to make a long distance one, right? So technology has changed how we communicate. Our website is fantastic, thanks to Linda Reynolds, who I can't see where she is. We took Jet Wings, which is now almost a magazine, and I don't know where Leslie is. There she is. We introduced affiliate memberships, which Linda mentioned, so that we could expand and include family members, because we have so many family members, like your son right here, who just talks about his mother, right? And how much she loved Pan Am. Then we introduced lifetime memberships, and we began to decide how to sunset World Wings. That was a hard decision, because many of us have been members for close to 50 years or more. So it was a hard thing. It's always difficult when you have to bring something to a close. But the reality is there are no more Pan Am flight attendants behind us to fill our shoes. So we started doing that. Now I want to just go back for a minute and tell you about the international charities that we have supported around the world. I mentioned Gallaudet. We have an existing endowment which stays around the same amount of money every year. It's about $155,000. And that money was raised back in the 80s and 90s. So you think about what those dollars are today. For 25 years, we supported CARE. And CARE is headquartered in Atlanta. And that's where I live. And we have a very active chapter there. In my chapter, there were 2 members who received care packages in Europe as children, and their mothers made them dresses out of the parachute fabric. So it really came full circle, and we're not the only chapter where I've heard those stories. We also, with CARE, over our 25 years, we supported a number of entirely supported various efforts, such as microloans, where women would get a loan of maybe $95. They paid them back, but that $95 enabled them to buy fabric, seeds, beads, anything like that. And it lifted their families out of poverty. It's a very successful program to this day. We also did an interesting project called Lucky Iron Fish, where the fish was about this big. It was made of iron, and it was given out to tribes in Africa who would then toss this little fish into their cooking pots. And it prevented anemia because for 5 years, that little fish gave off enough iron to protect their families. And we did that entirely. Our members, out of their own pockets, went to visit many CARE projects on continent after continent and learned firsthand about CARE. Then our last big international charity we've just ceased this April, and that was Doctors Without Borders. That's been an interesting one because the war in Ukraine happened while we were supporting them. So we called them up and said, we want all of our money to help those poor people over there that were being displaced. So over the last few years, we've been able to give them $300,000, with $100,000 being raised in 1 year. And I know that might not sound like a lot, but our members are kind of at the point where they're saying, I've been there, done that. So they really didn't have the energy to do big fundraisers. And as I said, World Wings was really grassroots. So chapter charities are another thing. Those are hands-on local charities. We have supported children, disease research and treatment, wounded veterans, homeless shelters, strategic training of canines and horses, emergency services, and so much more. Members have provided funds and countless hours to carry on Pan Am's legacy of humanitarian assistance. Chapters, we, as near as we can figure, have donated about $7 million, and we've had them all over the world. So if you combine those numbers of chapters and international, the best we can come up with, and records kind of aren't the best going way back, we figure about $15 million in today's money. So, thank you. If you're a World Wings member in the audience, would you please raise your hand? I'd like to get an idea how many. Quite a few here tonight. Well, you can all reach around and congratulate yourself. World Wings friendships, many of them span more than 50 years. A lot of us never knew each other from our flying days. We met when we joined a chapter or came to our conventions, and we've remained good friends for years. It's really a treasure. Our members are doctors, lawyers, business owners, CEOs, artists, professors, teachers, medical professionals, authors, writers, actors, and more. Pan Am, you had to have a college degree, so it was not an easy job to get. I know I'm preaching to the choir, so. But while Pan Am was operating, World Wings chapters also participated in marketing and sales efforts on a volunteer basis, and Pan Am loved that. In fact, executives would say that we were the best PR and marketing that Pan Am could never afford. Our philanthropy has positively impacted Africa, India, Asia, South and Central America, Europe, and the US. Our spectacular conventions with as many as 900 people attending, and that's all done on a volunteer basis, by the way, still is, have taken us from coast to coast in the United States to Europe, Asia, Canada, the Caribbean, and the Mediterranean. Now, as we join together with the Pan Am Museum, our focus lasers in on creating a World Wings exhibit, along with supporting any and everything we can do to preserve and educate the public about our unparalleled history. Flying across any ocean did not just happen. Pan Am pioneered route after route, as Eric was telling us tonight. We made technology advances, one after the other. I bet you didn't know that Pan Am did the first radio-to-ground communications. So there's all these things that Pan Am did. We proudly have upheld Pan Am's image. We've continued Pan Am's humanitarian efforts and promoted the company at every turn. We did it all with treasured and enduring friendships. And we look forward to the future with the Pan Am Museum. So thank you.